All right, guys, Q&A time. And today we have a question that came in from Louis Lopez, and it's a question that says, how come you do not use metal studs on your buildings instead of wood studs? So, great question, Louis. I think there's a lot of factors involved in using metal studs. Certainly, we've used metal studs before in different applications, but I guess number one I would have to start off and talk about would be the cost. So it's not necessarily, I'm not thinking it's necessarily a bad idea. If you're trying to go for, against termites and things like that, what you have to consider is the cost. This could probably add 30 to 50% to your framing cost, essentially, because you need to evaluate all the materials you would use, not just the studs. And so what that involves is, depending on what gauge of steel that you would use, it might affect the strength, it's going to affect the cost, and then to what extent do you stop? So, like, are you going to want to use wood zip system on the exterior if you have metal studs on the inside? So you might want to use a more fiber cement material like a Den's glass or something else like that you would normally use on a commercial application. So how far are you going to go with it, and that would add cost as well as you start stepping up your materials. There's certainly a lot of ways that you can upgrade the structure and the materials that you use as far as the guts of your home. This is not normally the way people go because of cost. Also, the convenience factor as well. When you're putting your fastening, fastening like your trim and stuff to the bottom, as you can imagine, if this was a metal stud and a metal channel down at the bottom, you're not just going to come across there and shoot a trim nail into the steel. So, you have to question, okay, how I'm going to fasten my trim. You're going to end up screwing everything in. So, which it's not that it can't be done, it just changes probably the installation time, things like that. So your subcontractors or whoever that's working on the project, they may not be as interested, at the normal rate of working on that project either. So there's a lot of factors that would go into it. How would you insulate? How would you, and it could add strength. I'm not saying the strength wouldn't be better depending on what gauge material you use, but if you use too light of a gauge of material, then I don't think it would be a better idea, if you went too light. So you definitely want to have a good, strong, sturdy wall, which is why we use the 2x6 studded walls on the exterior with our zip system. This is just one way that we do it. So we do have metal framing on the high side of our structures. So we are tying our studs into that. And it does make it a little more complex, when you're putting all this together, because you've got to screw all this stuff together as opposed to just shooting a nail in it. But I'm not saying it's a bad idea. You just need to consider the cost of your build and what you would want to use on your property. But at the end of the day, I think cost is a big factor. The fastening capabilities is a factor. To what extent, how far are you going to go with it on the materials that you use? Imagine if you're building stairs, you might want to go all steel there as well. It's going to add kind of some absorbent cost to the whole build if you're trying to stay true to that. So mounting your cabinets, you gotta, you can add blocking and things like that across there, but how far do you go with it? So it's just not practical for us on an everyday basis for building the Barndominium, so that's why we use the wood. And I think people are mostly wanting to keep their budgets down, so this is where we're at. But I hope that answers your question to the best of my ability on the spur of the moment. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I'm Josh Helm, wishing you all the best. Thanks for watching. Texas Best.